Well, hi, everybody. I'm Don Stewart, and welcome to another edition of Breaking News for this Monday, the 28th day of April, 2025. And in the news, we have some very wild stories for you, so let's get right to them. First of all, there are catastrophic blackouts in both Spain and Portugal, and we'll get to that story in a minute. Israel Katz, the defense minister of Israel, threatens to attack Iran as Donald Trump tries to cut a contested nuclear deal. On the other hand, Israeli Minister Ron Dermer said he's confident that Trump would reject a bad Iran deal. So there's a lot of consternation and back and forth with the Israeli leaders here on what Trump will or will not do. And then finally, Tehran in trouble. The deadly port explosion leaves Iran in a bind. So we get further information on this explosion. Plus, we've had some more accidents happen today in Tehran and its vicinity also. So we'll talk about that too. All right, headline number one. This is horrible and this is huge. Catastrophic blackouts in Spain and Portugal. Over-reliance on renewables behind catastrophic blackouts in Spain. Excess solar resulted in too little inertia, making the whole system vulnerable. It's by a man named Michael Schellenberger, who is an expert on the subject. This is from the website Public. Here's what he says. 6 days ago, the media celebrated a significant milestone. Spain's national grid operated entirely on renewable energy for the first time during a weekday. At 12:35 local time today, the lights went out across Spain and Portugal and parts of France. Although power was quickly restored in France, it could take a week to fully restore power in Spain and Portugal. In an instant, the electric hum of modern life, trains, hospitals, airports, phones, traffic lights, cash registers, all fell silent. Tens of millions of people instantly plunged into chaos, confusion, and darkness. People got stuck in elevators, subways stopped between stations, gas stations couldn't pump fuel fast enough or couldn't pump fuel at all, grocery stores couldn't process payments, air traffic controllers scrambled as systems failed and planes were diverted. In hospitals, backup generators sputtered on, but in many cases could not meet the full demand. Cell towers collapsed under surges and outages. It is one of the largest peacetime blackouts that Europe has ever seen, and it was not random. And this is the key. It wasn't random at all, as Schnellenberger says. It was not an unforeseen event. It was the exact failure that many of us have been repeatedly warning lawmakers about for years, warnings that Europe's political leaders systematically chose to ignore. Well, again, this is a developing story, so we'll have much more on this in the next few days. UK Daily Mail has this headline. State of emergency declares as panic buying sweeps blackout hit Spain and Portugal with shelves emptied, gridlock overwhelming cities, and flights canceled as authorities admit the chaos could take days. Well, welcome to the Green New World, right? What could possibly go wrong? And it is so sad to see something like this. And we've done a lot of stories over the years with, like Schnellenberger said, this has been there in the warnings. This would happen if you attempted to do the green, the grid on just renewable energy. And so let's see what takes place. So please pray for people in Spain and Portugal. All right. Now, headline number two, we got another huge story here. Israel Katz, the defense minister of Israel, he's threatening to attack Iran as Trump tries to cut a contested nuclear deal. This comes after sources told the Jerusalem Post that Israel has potentially missed its chance to strike Iran's nuclear facilities. With the tone of the news showing U.S. President Donald Trump getting even closer to a new nuclear deal with Iran, Defense Minister Israel Katz on Monday reissued a threat that Israel remained ready to attack Tehran's nuclear program. The central mission is to prevent Iran from getting a nuclear weapon, he told the IDF High Command. Israel will not allow Iran to get a nuclear weapon, and we are prepared, of course, in deep dialogue with the U.S. The defense minister added that in Israel's broader wars and in its fight against Iran, we know we have someone to count on when, in the end, we will be required to undertake decisions. We know there is someone to execute them, and this is true in any place, including with Iran. If there is a need to attack, there's someone who will do it. And they're talking about themselves, of course. Despite Katz's threat, top Israeli officials have been telling the Jerusalem Post on an ongoing basis for weeks there is significant concern that Trump will block Israel from acting so he can cut a mediocre nuclear deal with the Islamic Republic, and that's the worry. So, deal or no deal? Although Trump himself continues to mention the possibility of bombing Iran, either by Israel, the U.S., or both, his public comments have continued to show a heavy progression towards a nuclear deal with the Ayatollahs, even if it leaves the nuclear program intact, so long as it pushes the threat farther back into the future and imposes some nuclear limits in the present. In other words, just kick the can down the road. In contrast, since October 26, 2024, when Israel's Air Force eliminated Iran's advanced S-300 anti-aircraft missile systems, Katz, Prime Minister Netanyahu, and other top IDF officials have repeatedly said publicly and to the Jerusalem Post that attacking Iran's nuclear program is more doable than ever before. Yeah, because they're basically blind in their anti-aircraft advanced systems, their missile systems, to know what's going on there. Israel estimates that the negotiations between the U.S. and Iran are likely to conclude with an agreement, according to an Israeli official who spoke to the Jerusalem Post. The official clarified that Israel does not yet know whether the agreement will align with its demands, namely the complete dismantling of uranium enrichment facilities, or if it will resemble the previous nuclear deal, which Israel considers a bad agreement. Trump said on Sunday that the nuclear talks with Iran are going very well, and I think a deal will be reached. We have something without needing to start bombing, the president told reporters. And of course, another round of talks is scheduled for Saturday. The Israeli official who spoke to the Post believes that Trump's 60-day deadline to reach an agreement will eventually be extended. An Israeli official told reporters that Israel is in ongoing dialogue with the Americans regarding the nuclear talks. They said the dialogue is not one-sided. We are expressing our positions. There is continuous communication on many levels, and I wouldn't recommend drawing early conclusions. I'm confident the United States is committed to preventing Iran from obtaining nuclear weapons. Now, that's from another Israeli official. So again, like we deal with this every day, it's back and forth, back and forth. Will he or won't he? Deal or no deal? And will it be a mediocre deal? Will it be a good deal? Or will it be no deal whatsoever? So again, every day we'll give you the latest. Now, on the other hand, Israeli Minister Dermer says he's confident Trump would reject a bad Iranian deal. Israeli Strategic Affairs Minister Ron Dermer said on Monday that he believed U.S. President Donald Trump would not agree to a bad nuclear deal with Iran. I have a lot of confidence that President Trump would walk away from a bad deal today, Dermer said on a panel at a conference in Jerusalem organized by the Jewish News Syndicate. Asked whether Israel would be willing to strike Iran's military facilities by itself, Dermer said he would not talk about operational issues, but that Prime Minister Netanyahu should be believed when he said he would do whatever it takes to prevent Iran developing a nuclear weapon. Will it come to that? Again, we don't know, but we know very clearly if it did, they would attack. They would certainly do it for their own survival's sake. Again, we must wait and see. Now, we have further information about the explosion that took place on Saturday. Now, this is fascinating. Tehran in trouble. Deadly port explosion leaves Iran in a bind. While Tehran could use the disaster to gain international sympathy, I wonder from whom, it also means that the Islamic Republic must investigate its own failings, which could reveal weaknesses. The explosion at the Shahid Rajib port has become a major challenge for Iran. Now the death toll Monday has reached 65, Iranian officials said. It's a challenge for Iran because it can't ignore the explosion, and it's an embarrassing for the regime. On the other hand, it can use it to give sympathy, we're told here. Iran is trying to shore up support from Russia and China as it navigates a potential deal with the U.S. over its nuclear program. Iran needs to show it is stable and secure sites such as ports. If it can't secure them, then how can it secure its nuclear program? And as we said earlier, the problem with China's not coming through for Iran. And so they're really panicking now in Iran. And that's the key. That's why they desperately want a deal. Now, Iranian state media, Islamic Republic News Agency, reported on Monday that the continued losses are due to the explosion, reported about continued losses. The director of the Crisis Management Department said 46 individuals are now confirmed dead. It's higher than that now, following a powerful explosion in southern Iran. 1,072 people have been discharged from the hospital with more minor injuries. 138 people are still in the hospital. The Iranian report said the injured people were treated at 5 different hospitals. A total of 70 different ambulances were deployed to transport those injured after this incident. Iran said it's investigating the cause of the explosion. Many rumors are swirling. Tehran has accused people of spreading misinformation about this. Iranian authorities have formed a team to investigate the cause of the explosion. Here's the however. However, specific details about the incident remain unavailable. Iran said it has 23 piers in its port that have been damaged. This could affect the Iranian economy. Covering an acre of approximately 2,400 acres, Shahid Rashid Port can handle an annual cargo volume of 70 million tons. So that's huge, the IRNA noted. Now, talk about bad timing. President Masoud Pezeshkian has said Iran is a good place for investment and trade, stating that the country welcomes investment by foreign business people, IRNA also said on April 28th. Speaking at the opening ceremony, this happened today, of the 7th exhibition of export potential of the Islamic Republic of Iran, Iran Expo 2025 on Monday morning, Pezeshkian said Iran is a suitable platform for investment by business people, as well as the presence of foreign tourists. I wonder if the smoke from the fire got that far, the explosion that far to where they're having the meeting. The Iranian president said, with this potential, a good future can be created for the world in terms of security and peace. Peace and security will be created with trade, investment, companionship, and cooperation. In the meantime, the smoke's going all over the country from this explosion. The president wants to showcase what Iran can offer, despite what he says is the fact Iran is demonized by certain countries, saying that the country was a hospitable place with warm and friendly people, the IRNA noted. The port explosion puts Pezeshkian's government in a bind. He will need to show transparency in the investigation. However, if the truth is that munitions caused this explosion, remember the Chinese munitions that were there, the fuel, the missile fuel that was sent from China so the rockets can fly to Israel and eventually to the US, that's what exploded. If they were targeted sabotage, then it's embarrassing for the government and they won't be able to reveal the truth. This would create even a larger headache because they will need to blame the explosion on something. You got to blame it on something. If they try to blame it on some kind of natural accident, then it seems like incompetence caused the blast. So he's in a bind. But at the first day of this conference, showcasing what a great place of investment Iran is. At the same time, this port blows up. You've got many people dead, 3 days of mourning. And again, there are facilities there. They can't seem to keep them under control. In the meantime, now this is a really interesting comment I read from the Jerusalem Post. I always like reading the comments. Listen to this. Just saw this comment. Well, this is me writing. I was writing to our friend Notter about it. Just saw this comment from the Jerusalem Post. Something is going on in Iran. Today, there were 3 huge fire blazes in Tehran, the capital of Iran. All 3 blazes were in different locations of Tehran, but every single one near the IRGC controlled strategic buildings or barracks. That's the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps. All 3 were near their strategic buildings or barracks. But the interesting part of the story is that the international press is not reporting this. Instead, everyone is reporting how successful the talks are between the USA and the Iranian regime. So isn't this interesting? 2 days after you have this huge explosion there, you have 3 different fires in Tehran, all in different locations, but all near the IRGC. And just like we said, as we were told a few weeks ago, the IRGC, the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps, is going to be targeted by certain forces because they need to be neutralized. They need to stop spreading the terrorism around the world, what they've done with the tankers, what they've done in various places in the world. And so there are groups, shall we say, that are working on neutralizing them. And here, 2 days after the accident, there at the port, we have these mysterious fires that break out in different places of Tehran, all of them near strategically controlled barracks or buildings of the IRGC. You think it's a coincidence? No, it's not. So, accidents continue to happen in Iran. We will keep you posted with the latest. All right, so again, these are all developing stories. What's going on in Portugal and Spain, this in Iran with Israel and the so-called possible agreement between Iran and the U.S. with the nuclear facilities there. So please keep these in prayer, and we'll keep you posted on all that's going on. I'm Don Stewart. Thanks for watching, and as always, until next time, may the Lord richly, richly bless.